It is Chillmonger. It's Bluminati. It's Marc. What's your last name, Marc?
ATLblerd. How about that?
It's ATLblerd. Find them. We've got the Black Panther Blood Hunt issue number 2 that's out with a misleading cover. But don't worry, the rest of the comic book isn't very good. So I was down on this comic book. It doesn't speak to me. Anything related to gods, I always go, oh my God. Funny enough. Oh my God. Every time I hear
the lore of the pantheon and mythology of Wakanda and West Africa, East Africa.
Great education, but what place are we in with these comic book characters and their sales? What terrible thing that place that we're at. Ultimate Black Panther sells well, fantastic. I just saw it's the 15th hottest selling comic book that came out last month, which is like mind-blowingly, largely like eye-openingly surprising. But other than that comic book, every single series we've ever had in the last decade has flopped or never made it past the second trade paperback, aside from the T'Challa character. This is a character we can't waste page time worrying about the Pantheon, or here's this information that, there's this god and there's that god, and what about this colorful god? Who cares? It's got nothing to do with him. Elevate him, work on him, like get him in a better place where he is going to sell. And that wasn't doing that. This was more so about things that didn't have to do with Blade. Even this didn't have to do with much with Blood Hunt. This was just like, oh, you guys remember? Here, trip down memory lane. Nothing here I see being built. Even when I read issue number 3, I don't think the ongoings of this issue will affect that.
I personally have been loving the Blood Hunt series. Excuse me. Overall, I have absolutely loved the Blood Hunt Black Panther, and this last issue that just dropped last week was, to me, spectacular. We reviewed it on Black Comic Lords on Friday, and I have nothing but good things to say about it because I have been a longtime fan of mythology, specifically Greco-Roman, and when they brought in these gods, many of whom I had never seen or heard of before, I was excited because hopefully at some point, some writer will do for the Ennead, which is the East African gods or the Egyptian gods, do for them the same way that they've done for the Eternals, who are basically gods, and the Olympians, who obviously are gods, and Thor, who is a god.
You're muted. I'm not muted. I'm just waiting for you because I want to be polite. Okay. I'm just moving in such a way like you're hoping for something that historically hasn't happened. Like Stan Lee and Jack Kirby cared about the Eternals enough to create them and do that thing. There is no Jack Kirby at the company. We had one in Brian Michael Bendis, and he's not there anymore. There is no sort of like, we can elevate these ancient black characters or take something from a tie-in comic to make it bigger. Like, what? The only way for that to happen is to have Cheryl Lynn Eaton, who wrote this comic book, to become the next, let's call it Jed McKay, the next kind of person who's just in charge of everything. That's the only way that's going to happen. And that's never happened. It's never happened. There's a limit to how high she can go. And then she'll be rotated out for some other kind of writer, because that's all that's been happening over the last 10 years. I've been educated based on patterns that I've seen that what your wish is a fallacy.
Well, it's not a fallacy, more so maybe a wasted wish. It's wishful thinking, obviously. But who's to say that if her book sells well, that may tell the bean counters, like, look, your book is selling all these books. I think she said on the Twitters that they're getting ready to do the second printing of this.
Having the second printing sounds cool, but when we realize that it's just because their pre-orders were so low from the prediction that the comic book shops were giving 2 months prior to its release, that's all it means. That there needs to be a second printing because they thought so low of my comic.
But so that should change the perception going forward too, though, right? If the comic shops say, all right, 10 copies, now go into second print, and now the comic shop gonna be like, hey, maybe we need 20, maybe we need 30 copies. You see what I'm saying? So it should still change.
You jumped from 10 to 30, and I want to just tell you that's not how.
I jumped from 10 to 20, and then I said 30.
Even 20. I think that every comic shop who ordered 10 comic books, and if they sold out and they need more, they probably just need like 3 more comics. It's not that high.
Well, obviously you and I over on the Twitters follow a lot of people who share our interests when it comes to comic books. And after that book dropped, you know, my Twitter feed was all awash with people loving that particular book. And I understand that it is a microcosm and doesn't necessarily talk to the greater overall comic book buying public. But the positive feedback that I saw for that gave me, once again, I use that H word, hope that this book can be, or these characters can be ongoing, because I think this series is very successful. You know the numbers, you study the numbers, and I understand that I don't. But just based on the response that I've seen, gives me hope for it.
Okay, the numbers are skewed and very much in the estimation territory since 2020. But thanks to the website Comic Cron, get familiar with that site. All cancellation territory is when it's only 10,000 units being sold, then the company goes, "Oh, we can't sell any more of these comic books. We're going to start losing money." So, and we learned one time from Bleeding Cool that there are 2,000 shops in the North American market. When you add that, there's only like 2,000 shops. That's what I mean when I say only 10 comics. All 10 comics sold out. They're not going to jump to making 20 comics to reach that magical number of 10,000. If I'm estimating, I'm guessing, these are good guesses, that Black Panther Blood Hunt sold under 20,000 units for issue number 2. Okay, I'm guessing that, but I have a good. I think it's true.
So can you pull up the numbers, because you're good at doing that? Can you do that?
We don't have that anymore. We just know how popular a comic was, as far as like, was it the 15th highest selling comic of the month? Which, yes, Ultimate Black Panther was the 15th highest selling comic. And then we can look at Comic-Con from March of 2020, and the 15th highest selling comic that month made 60,000 units sold. That's why we know that Ultimate Black Panther roughly sold about 60,000 units. That's how we.
So when will the numbers for Blood Hunt Black Panther 2 be released that you'd be able to say?
Those the rankings of how high they are, it's going to take a month for issue number 2, and that'll be on ICV. That will be on ICV2. And I use a guy's blog called Comic Book Revolution, and he just puts all that number in there, which I appreciate.
You know what? I really wish I hate the way they do these numbers. You know what I'm saying? Because, like you said, they skew, and they not like us. Nah, they're not like real numbers. They're not like real numbers, because, like you said, the shops might order this, but then they don't sell that. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. All we know is how many units were sold. And that's useless when we're talking about issue number 1 and issue number 2. How the hell do we know? Right. By the time we get to issue number, let's say 17, we know every shop is ordering based off of how many issues 16s and 15s sold. Right. So then we actually have a general idea of how much they're selling. But in the first 2, the comic shops don't know who's feeling what, and that's why they under-ordered, and that's why there needed to be a second printing of Blood Hunt.
Well, I think with this, because it's only going to be 3 issues, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think that's another thing too. It's 3 issues, so I can go in whatever variant covers. I can go, because I know this is going 1, 2, 3. It's going to stop. Boom! I get all of that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that probably will boost the numbers, because it's a limited run. You know what I'm saying?
You think because there's no, go ahead.
Say that. No, go ahead.
I was gonna fill in your sentence. Do you think because there's a conclusion and everyone knows that 3 issues, they'll get the whole thing, so they'll stick around with it, rather than ongoing series? That's a little bit too intimidating and such a commitment. Is that what you mean by limited series?
Right. So I know it's 3 issues. People like the beginning, beginning, middle, end. People like that. Even with an ongoing, a lot of these ongoings, the story is long. Like the last Black Panther run, that was a long story for no reason. Like, it was a long story for no reason. Like, and we still didn't really get a conclusion, or nothing changed. You know what I'm saying? From that run.
Yeah, that run there could have been 2 stories in that run. They could have been, 1 through 6 was one story, and then 7 through 9, 12, whatever, been something completely different. That's one of the things that they do nowadays versus the way it used to be back when I first started collecting in the 70s and 80s, is that you just bought a book and there was no definitive beginning, middle, or end. You just read the stories. It was like a soap opera, soap opera. Those of you who spent time with your grandmothers watching the stories know that this was, an ongoing thing for 30, 40 years. Same thing the way it used to be at comic books. Nowadays, you'll have these runs where you will have a creative team that in advance that they're only going to be there for a certain period of time, and that they're going to have this amount of time, this amount of issues to get their stories out. For those who have short attention spans, that might very well be good. I just like reading the books and knowing that, okay, in issues 134 through 146, it may very well be, this particular story. And then the very next issue, they've moved on to something else, and that's just the way it used to be. We didn't have definitive middle, start, middle, and ends. So things have changed in the storytelling of this medium.
Okay. One thing about the prior run could be editorial, who are saying that T'Challa better not be king anymore, right? It may have been Eve Ewing. All right, you know what I'm going to do? Mention the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda. They're going to refer to him as the Emperor. And there, I got it in there. It slipped under Will Moss's nose, who's not really reading. He's not editing. He's Control F King. No, he didn't use the word king in the comic. All right, way to go, Eve. Sorry, pal, but your comic has been canceled. Like maybe.
And when speaking of the Black Panther runs of the past, or Dr. Ewing specifically, or whatever, everything is being built off of something else. Canon is there for a reason. And this is one of the reasons why I am not a fan of Ta-Nehisi Coates and his run, even though it gave the Intergalactic Empire that I'm not a fan of. But he's the one who removed T'Challa from his throne. He's the reason why now, 5 years later, we're still dealing with this man, not being the ruler of his nation. And so that's one of the, just my criticism of his writing style. And that's just one issue that I have with that. And,
is that him inserting?
What'd you say?
Is that him inserting his politics? Democracy.
Yes, that's exactly it. I mean, that's because that's what writers do.
Right.
They're building on their own belief system, perhaps their own past experiences. Ta-Nehisi Coates is a brilliant man. Let me say that again. Ta-Nehisi Coates is a brilliant man. He's an academician. He wasn't a comic book writer before he got this. And, the powers that be allowed him to do what he did. And this has happened in other comic books. Thor has been removed many times from away from Asgard, on the run, so to speak, blah, blah, blah. But he always comes back. Namor, another monarch who has left his throne, but is always reinserted back on it. I don't think any of them have gone 5 years without being the monarch of their land. And that's one of the issues that I have. I don't think that this is Will Moss or any editorial editor over there at Marvel telling them, okay, you know what, you can write Black Panther, but just don't put him on the throne. I think that this is people just trying to tell stories based in the box that Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yeah, I agree with that. To go back to the previous run that Dr. Ewing did, I think when she introduced that character, it should have been a story about that character. Besa. It should have been like we should have got like a, you know what I'm saying? Like, because she was in the book, but she wasn't in the book a lot. Like, we got some scenes, but we didn't get like enough from it. To me, we didn't get enough from her. To me, that should have been a story arc within itself. You see what I'm saying?
I mean, I hear you and I understand, but like any other character, everybody else is ancillary to T'Challa. So I didn't mind that character not being pushed to the forefront, to be quite frank with you. But
she didn't have to be to the forefront, but I kind of look at it to like when Deadpool first showed up in X-Force or New Mutants and then X-Force, right? Deadpool was not front and center, but Deadpool was it was a story arc surrounding Deadpool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And then Cable and Domino. Yeah,
right.
That's true.
Ancillary characters. Speaking about them, Khonshu showed up in here, and artwork looked phenomenal of Khonshu. Every time I see that Khonshu thing, it's usually done well. I think that artists like get giddy trying when they have to do that, and they have to do his necklace head, but it's it's just a skeleton. speaking over with Bast. Wasn't Bast supposed to be a white panther? Like it looked black in here.
No, Bast has always been a Black Panther, a literal Black Panther, always.
Yeah.
But let me just interject this for those of you who are joining Chillmonger's channel who may not know what's going on over in Marvel. There is a Blood Hunt cross-issue storyline where basically
My audience knows.
They know, okay, but you know, with the Black Panther volume, you have Black Panther who has been infected by Blade. He's now vampiric, but he has gone to Bast for help. And we see history of Wakanda. That's one of the things that I really, really enjoyed. And going back to my earlier statement about liking mythology, as much as I love mythology, I don't know hardly anything about Egyptian mythology, or as they say in the book, the Ennead, or the Heliopolians. Those are two different phrases to call them the same thing. Inserting those characters from a pantheon that I'm not that familiar with, I really did appreciate, again, based on my love of mythology. And, you know, these characters may very well show up again. I know that Chill doesn't feel that they will, but, you know, understand, having been a longtime Thor reader, a lot of these characters, like Set, for example, who's part of the Ennead, has shown up. And, you know, there was a big storyline against Thor and Captain America back in the day. So now that these characters have been introduced, hopefully they will come in different versions or different titles across the Marvel universe in print.
Hold on, Chill. Hold on. Also, I want to piggyback, and I know I see the wheels turning, but also I think it gave, I mean, it's Black Panther Blood Hunt, and we don't get a lot of T'Challa vampire stuff throughout history with T'Challa. Right. So to me, if we're doing a Black Panther book, we gotta have something that relates to vampires. So this is where the guy, you know what I'm saying, the different guys come in and they showing
Varney.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? To me, that makes sense in the Black Panther side of things. You know what I'm saying, in the Black Panther side of things, because you need that. Other than, I mean, T'Challa becoming a vampire, now what? You see what I'm saying? Of course he's gonna run back home. I mean, most people gonna run back to who I think can cure me. You saw what he went and did. Try to, you know, the herb, and you know what I'm saying, bad, you know, he's going through stuff like that. So it has to make sense. To me, this makes sense.
Plus the fact Dracula sent him there. So it's a twofold mission. Dracula sent him there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Blade sent him there. And while he was there, he was trying to find a cure for his vampiric properties. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Blue. It did make sense.
So Boss says to T'Challa, it was Khonshu who discovered that the first had been enslaved by Varney. The demon had stolen vibranium from the fires of Ptah and dared to use the metal for shackles to bind mankind and a gate from which to ascend to godhood. Firstly, I'm not a fan of anyone stealing vibranium for Wakanda, okay? Let's keep reading. The demon toiled for many nights under the cover of darkness, but when that shining metal snared the light of the full moon, Khonshu was made aware of Varney's machinations and was compelled to intervene. The Pantheon show up there. There's a whole bunch of retroactive history there. Do you think that's adding to the story and lore of Black Panther?
Yes. So again, for those who, and I understand what Chill you're saying, that your fan base knows what's going on, but I feel I must explain that in this book we're talking ancient Wakandan times before Wakanda was an actual nation. We're talking about peoples who resided in this area but had not coalesced into a nation yet, right? And you have two separate pantheons. You have the Eastern gods, the Egyptian gods, aka the Ennead. Then you had the Western gods known as the Orisha, who are normally worshipped by the Yoruba peoples. And so, because what we now know as Wakanda was an unclaimed land, you had these two pantheons trying to decide, okay, which of our group is going to be the god for these people. And so Khonshu, being part of the Ennead, wanted to go in because one of his followers was slain, wanted to go in and, you know, wreck shop with this demon. But then the Orisha was, more Bast, basically his sister, was like, well, look, you can't do that because this land is unclaimed. That might piss off the Orisha. And the way I described it on our show, Black Comic Lords, the other day, it's like you have the Crips and the Bloods, and there's a particular area that was unclaimed by the Crips or the Bloods. It was like neutral territory. So that's basically what you had. So you didn't want a Crip to go in here on neutral grounds without letting the Bloods know. So that's how I described it.
Wakanda was the LA Forum that week.
Correct. So neutral ground.
What like activates my gag reflex is the word God. I hate Thor for all the God talk. I hate any of these deities unworthy of worship. The little structure of, well, we got to rule these people and those people. Man, if your life can come to an end, you are not a God. There's only one God. And that's me. Remember we talked about Coates getting us politics into comics? Well, this is me getting my religion into comics where I could just never get behind these. So I'm just flipping these pages like, all right, cool. Guy with the red fire hair, guy with the what's Khonshu, the skeleton guy, all these little mystical things. You guys will never have comic books of your own. You're trespassing on T'Challa's property, and this character is what I care about more than the ancillary people.
Trespassing on his property, though. I mean, you wouldn't even have T'Challa without a god, though, right?
I think Fantastic Four 52 didn't mention Bast once.
No, but
right. They also didn't mention any real background of T'Challa up until when? Once they started asserting the background of T'Challa.
In all the comics that asserted the background of Wakanda, of T'Challa, in all of them, how I would criticize them if 8 pages was dedicated to T'Challa and then 12 of the other pages were dedicated to them. I would be like, yo, I don't care about the background that much. You can give it to me in pieces here and there, and I'll piece it together. But majority of this book didn't have him in it, and that's an issue to me, and it may not be to you guys. That's fine.
Right. Nah,
I had no problem.
Yeah, because it explained and I kind of see where they're going. Like, especially with like how it ended, you know what I'm saying? Like, not only does he have, you know what I'm saying, and hate to skip to the end, but not only is Bast now in his system, he has this other deity in this, you know what I'm saying, that's going to be in the system. So to me, we talking gods here. T'Challa is kind of becoming a god himself. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. I think he's already been super souped up already. Okay, he's already been blessed.
I mean, he's got the Batman.
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Aura.
Not where like
plot armor.
Yeah, the plot armor. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. He's got the Batman plot armor sometimes. Well, with the right writer, he does. Let me say that. With the right writer, he does.
The character he kisses in that comic book broke my heart.
Why?
Aurora Monroe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's like every relationship when I see her with that dude over there, whose name I won't even say.
Right.
When I see Storm, or rather Black Panther doing the same thing, kissing another woman, I'm like, ugh, this furthers away that rekindling from happening. I'm not just for a guy going couple to couple.
You took that as like,
if 2006 didn't happen, right? If Black Panther issue 18 didn't happen, then maybe I'll entertain. Oh, look, he's kissing this. No, he's with this woman. He's with that woman. But like we found our soulmates, and any sort of like fling here or anything there is just taking away from that. And I think that powerful couple is too strong.
I absolutely 195% agree with you. I understand your position. Okay. However, Storm is out there getting her back blown out, right?
No, we never seen those pages.
Yeah, we have.
Storm gets her back blown out a lot. So what are you talking about?
They've been in bed together. They've shown that. They've shown them being in bed together. So it is clear implication that Storm is in a physical relationship with that astronaut.
That moon rock booty.
Now, with this god, I don't think
you guys didn't see Ize? You guys didn't see T'Challa's ability to transform his likeness to look like someone else? That's him the whole time, idiots. He is the astronaut.
Okay. Sure. Right. Good for you. Now, that being said, Chill's got some of that good Canadian stuff. That being said, I don't think that this relationship with T'Challa and that goddess is going to develop further than just a kiss. Okay. I have no issues with it. Like you, Chill, I want to see them together. They should never have been broken apart. That the way that it was done was stupid. I don't know who gave that determination, but it literally did not make sense, especially the way T'Challa did it, the way he's always been portrayed as an honorable character. What he did was low down and shady, and that's out of character for him. But I think that the way Marvel is set up, be it the main 616 continuity or various other alt timelines, T'Challa and Storm always end up together. And I think that at some point in the future that will happen. I hope it happens sooner rather than later. But I think that they ultimately will end up together.
You said some point in the future, and the future doesn't exist in a sliding timeline where time moves so slowly. What the future in what way?
Well, here's the thing, and going back to the writer before Dr. Ewing, whose name I will not sully my lips to say, at least Ta-Nehisi Coates, that's the only positive that I'll have about his run, is that he was getting them back together organically. It made sense because the two of them recognized that they loved each other, that they cared for each other. And so Coates handled that deftly by getting them back together. All of that was torn apart with the ex-writers and that other person whose name I will not mention because that made no sense. And
Is
I
that why all the
absolutely
Black Panther fans don't like the X-Men fans? I see that beef go because I'm a huge X-Men fan. You know what I'm saying? So I see that beef, and I'm like, I see the issue. I see what you're saying, Chill. You two, I agree. I do think that they should be together, and I think the way that they broke them up was bad. That was what was that? That was Civil War, right?
No, that was
No,
Avengers versus X-Men. Avengers versus X-Men.
Avengers versus X-Men. That's what that was. Yeah, it was in poor taste, but I would like to see them get back together organically. Not just Aurora show up. Oh, T'Challa, I missed you, and you know what I'm saying. Like I would like to see a cat and mouse type of game or a courting, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? I would like to see that.
Yeah,
flirting and stuff. I would like to see that. I think that'll make for good drama, good. You know what I'm saying? Good writing in the comic.
That's what Coach was doing. That's exactly what Coach was doing. But then the writer who followed him blew it all up out of the water for no reason. I hate that guy.
Don't know why I like that guy.
Nobody. Maybe his wife maybe does, but not me.
I just read something about him. There was an article coming out of the name which we shall not say, and he's a defendant on this lawsuit about a woman saying how they were unequally paid over on a Disney movie. Yeah,
he was the director for a movie about someone who I admire by the name of Shirley Chisholm. For the youngsters who do not know, Shirley Chisholm was a Black politician who I want to say was the first Black female in Congress, and she actually ran for president, I want to say in 72 maybe. But that aside, there was a movie about her on Netflix starring Regina King, who I absolutely love. But he's the one who directed that movie, and I will not support anything that has his hands touched to it.
Let's bring it back to the comic that we're here for. This is a very unstructured conversation, but I hope you're enjoying all 30 minutes of this.
Yeah.
So, because I'm not into it, I can't. It's not fair to me to direct a conversation about this comic book. Do you guys want to bring something up as Shuri and Doctor Doom? Do we think that was accurate to the Shuri Doctor Dooms we were seeing during like 2010? Was it the same characters? How did it feel?
Yeah. So Doctor Doom, the monarch of Latveria, has protocols in place that prevent any vampires from crossing his borders. He's an extremely brilliant individual. He's one of the top 5 sorcerers on planet Earth, and he ain't number 5. I would say that he's number 3. Shuri, knowing that they don't have the same type of protocols in place, is, as a monarch would, is trying to save her people and wants them to go to Latveria. And Doctor Doom is like, nah, not until you tell me where T'Challa is, because the way I read it, Doctor Doom did not want Wakandans there, not knowing where T'Challa was and what he was going to do. The way I interpreted those scenes was that Doom didn't want smoke with T'Challa. That's the way I viewed that. What did you think, Blue?
I agree. I don't think you want to smoke with T'Challa, and I also think he knows. I think he knows that T'Challa is infected, right?
You think so?
I think he knows. I mean, why? Seems like everybody knows that T'Challa is infected. If you've been reading Blood Hunt, everybody knows that T'Challa's out here running around. You know what I'm saying? Infected. I think what was it? I think in the Wolverine Blood Hunt, they talked about T'Challa being infected. I think in the event, I know in the Avengers they talked about it. Blade, they talked about it. So I think just everybody, I just think now it's just everybody knows T'Challa's infected. I don't see why Doom wouldn't. Doom being Doom, you know what I'm saying, who trades in information, I'm pretty sure he knows T'Challa's infected.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did, but that's not how I took it. I'm not discounting what you're saying, of course, but that's not how I interpret it. The way I interpret it is not knowing, because he didn't mention it in the book that, you know, your brother talking to Shuri, your brother's infected, I don't want him here. The way I took it was, well, if the Wakandans here, T'Challa's going to be hot on their heels. We'll probably have conflict, and I don't feel like dealing with that. That's the way I took it.
Because I'm looking, it says, then you can see why Doom would not be amenable to subjecting this land to potential risk of refugees, since you have stated that you are unaware of your brother's location or condition. That's why I think he knows.
Okay, that's a good point. The or condition. That's a very good point.
She says, "I am my brother's keeper." To me, that's very this side of the world. That's very New Jack City. That's not something I associate with a Wakandan speaking, like
American euphemisms. Yeah.
Volume 8, written by that guy, used a lot of those
vernacular unique to America, and that's why I hate that guy. Whoever the artist was, it made no sense, because there was a character, a Folasad or something like that. This dude not only had a perm, but he had a blonde perm. No Wakandan would be walking around in Wakanda with a blonde effing perm. That made no sense whatsoever. I hate that guy.
It could have been an anime convention. I don't know. Well, Wakanda wouldn't have anime conventions, I guess. They'd have their own conventions that they like.
Yeah.
There's no defending it. So there was some speaking where they said, "I am my brother's keeper." Am I wrong for that, or am I like right?
I think that's just like a universal saying, to be quite frank. Yeah, I understand your point, but I just think that at this point, it's a universal saying.
Blue?
No, I agree. I don't think it was necessarily you know, Western society or American vernacular. I just think it's, you know.
Got you. Hey, Blue, what did you think about the page where the gods were fighting these humans, going after these people in loincloths who couldn't defend themselves? What do you think about that?
I just think that that's more lore and mythology. I think that speaks to the perseverance of the Wakandan people and where they come from and what they had to deal with. And that's why you know what I'm saying? Because we're also getting that this is the reason why vibranium is so special that even the demons want it. You know what I'm saying? Even the deities want this metal. Even the deities, you know what I'm saying? Think of it like Euro with Thor's hammer and, you know what I'm saying, Odin's spear, things of that nature. Like, I think
and how often do people get their hands on those items?
What's that?
People don't get their hands on those items too often. And especially with Eyes of Wakanda coming up, where the whole plot is who else got some vibranium from those Wakandans who can't protect their precious metal.
I agree, but I think this is separate from that. This is before even vibranium was vibranium. The only people who knew about vibranium seemed like is the gods. You know what I'm saying? And the demons. In this right here. I get what you're saying with it seems like now everybody's touching vibranium or, you know what I'm saying, things of that nature. I think because right now, and this is what I hate about the comics, is the comics are now following the movies. You know, and that's where you're getting the bad writing. That's where you're getting anything that's probably bad about a comic is because it's piggybacking off of the cinematic universe.
The comic should be the movie should be based on the comics, not the other way around.
Not the other way around.
That's one of the things that my partner Paul has been saying for quite some time is the synergy that Marvel has with the comic books, the cartoons, or the animated shows when they existed, and the movies are all piggybacking off of one another. And because movies bring in more money, that's the driving force behind all of these things. So I absolutely agree with you, but it should not be that way.
Because sooner or later you're gonna reach a singularity. You're gonna reach, and then you're not gonna have stories to pull from. You know what I'm saying? Because all the stories is gonna be the movie, and that's gonna be the end of the comics or the cinematic universe. It's just gonna end.
Is that foresight that you just exhibited? We don't do that here. So the character in the past gives the name Niami. Did you know where the name Niami came from, guys? Is because there's history behind that name.
That's T'Challa's birth mom.
Whoa! Anybody?
Yeah, this is T'Challa's birth mom.
No, but did it move you in any way?
No.
No,
me neither. But cool. Eons ago, there was a woman named Niami.
I mean, just like there's Janes and Heathers and Beccas, and so it's not shocking that a name of that name was in that part of the world. So no.
I feel like that was a page that I would have easily traded to put one on T'Challa. Like if I could.
I got a question for you, Chill. What would you have liked to see done in this book then that wasn't? Give me something.
That's a hard question because I think every answer is the wrong answer. Like I can criticize what did happen, but what didn't happen, I don't know what's happening in issue 3. Maybe Dr. Doom's appearance here is going to be pivotal to the next issue. But if you ask me that right now, I would say we didn't need Dr. Doom. We didn't need Shuri and Dr. Doom talking. Instead, we should have had the Black Panther achieving a feat, fighting an action scene. Like I didn't want T'Challa drinking someone else's blood, but I wanted to see like Blade and Black Panther have another discussion to get somewhere. And I don't know where the story is going, so I can't answer this question. It's hard. I'm just complaining for the sake of complaining, it sounds like.
I get the impression that issue 3, the penultimate issue, will have more action than this one did. So
3 is the ultimate issue.
Right. So I think that this one, the next one, 3, will have what you're probably looking for, especially in regards to action.
Yeah, and I'm not holding any of this against them because none of it's going to be referenced again, which is kind of my complaint with issue 2. It's just a specific issue 2 complaint.
I don't know, man. I think this might have implications going forward. I really do for T'Challa. I think as I'm reading Marvel and I'm seeing what T'Challa's being placed on, I know bad thing, but they are still building on T'Challa. They still using T'Challa. You know what I'm saying? So I think the right person come in, they can go back and see what happened. And you know what I'm saying? It's 3 issues of Blood Hunt. It's not hard homework to go and use, something out of this. So I think this could have implications for T'Challa going forward if the right person come along.
Look, a new kit made him stronger, but he wishes to be free was how the line went in that comic. Well, there you go. Going forward, he'll be stronger. There's not a metric on what is more power. Does he be able to punch faster? Does he have a new ability? We don't know, but he is stronger, and that should play ahead, unless it wears off or something like that. Like when Thor gives his powers in Love and Thunder to all the kids.
Right. Yeah, but that was stupid. Because even like with Blade, right? With what happened in the Blade run, I'm like, okay. But boom, we come in the Blood Hunt, come to find out that had implications going forward in the Blood Hunt. You know what I'm saying? So
Blue, let me ask you this. Do you think that's really Blade or that he has been possessed by something?
I think that's the question that everybody's asking. I don't know if I want to say it's a possession. I was reading.
It's a possession.
What's that?
It's possession.
It's got, I'm thinking it's got to be possession, but also he's got what Dracula did to him, and then you got the demon that he just thought he slayed. You know what I'm saying? And then it could be some totally other something else going on. I think could be 3 things right now. I'm really, I don't know, but I'm leaning more towards possession, but really I don't know. And I think that's what's good about Blood Hunt is because you got Blade, and if you have been keeping up with Blade, you can go either way. Like, is this what's going on with Blade? Is it Dracula? Is it the demon? Is it, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think this is one of the better crossovers that we've gotten in a long time, though.
That's one of the things that I've been saying, over on Black Comic Lords a lot, is that I have hated how they do the cross-issue storylines, because back in the day in the 80s, you had them few and far between. It all started with Marvel Secret Wars. Then you had Fall of the Mutants, things of that nature. Now in the 2000s, you have one every year. Sometimes you have 2 in a year. A lot of them just aren't good. I want to say the last good one to me may very well have been Siege, perhaps.
Siege was good. That was a while back though.
Yeah, it was. Siege was a Thor centric cross issue storyline. That's the last one because it came after Secret Invasion, which was spectacular. So that being said, I've not kept up with a lot of these cross issue storylines because they have been, in my estimation, just money grab. Let's put it out, put out all these, tie-ins, go ahead, spend all your money and get them, and they have been basically garbage. This one right here is very good. Very good. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give Blood Hunt like a 9.
Yeah.
Black Panther at the ending says the freedom must be earned and you got to fight for it, win it in battle. Does that strike a chord? Is that like a very Western thing? Or is that a generally understood statement? Even if Wakanda was uncolonized and never had to fight for freedom, so to say, they fight to defend themselves, but never for like freedom, like we're oppressed. Did you think that was fitting of T'Challa to say? Because I give it a pass.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything wrong with it because he's actually under the influence of 2 different entities, Blade and Anoket. So, he understands. And when you think about all the time that he spends in the West, I don't think that was out of character for him to say that. And he understands that, okay, his mind, body, and soul now are under other individuals' influences. So he has to fight to become himself again. So.
Yeah, and I mean, and what he said, it was a battle of wills. You know what I'm saying? So right now, because I think he said that while he was underwater, under the influence.
Yeah.
Also, you know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure
battle of wills, and my battle has just begun, and that's where the Atlanteans jump him.
I hated that last page
because of the movie stuff.
Yeah.
So Blue, you watched the movie?
Yeah, I watched the movie. I took my son to see. He wanted to go, and he hated it, but yeah, I watched
2 movie tickets, Blue.
Yeah,
I know it is, but when the son say, "Hey, I want to go," you know what I'm saying? I can't be like, "Nah, we're gonna watch it on bootleg." I ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like,
if he said he wanted ice cream for dinner, you gonna let him do it? I'm just playing.
Nah, that's different. That's different. But yeah, I went to I took him to see it. And that just
I've never even seen it. Here's a question that I have, because again, I have not seen it, will not see it. Was there an after credit scene? And if so, what was it? Because I have absolutely no idea.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, right. There wasn't. We just gonna, even if it was, there wasn't.
They say that there was going to be a Dr. Doom scene.
Okay. Was it the thing with the Haitian bastard child? Was that an after credit scene?
After credits, meaning like after the 5 minutes of darkness, nothing played after that. But there was I think mid credit is the word, where you got to see the Haitian bastard to child.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The Wakandans are here. The Atlanteans are here. They're about to interact. This felt like the movies, bro. And that's not Cheryl Lynn Eaton going, I can't wait to use underwater Mexicans. I don't know her, but from what I've seen on Twitter, I know her enough. She's not into that. That's not something she's gleeful to get involved with. This is from editors.
It seems forced. Because also right now, Atlanteans don't have a king. Namor is I want to say locked up somewhere.
He's got a book coming out too, and I'm a huge Namor fan.
Me too. I think he's locked up somewhere. So they don't have a king right now. They're I don't know. I just like they did the whole bones and stuff. It's just stupid. I don't like that, man.
Yeah, that was another issue that I had with Ryan Coogler, because again, as a Namor fan, the fact that he turned them into underwater Mexicans didn't make any sense to me. So he destroyed 2 properties as far as I'm concerned. The Black Panther IP, of course, and then now the Atlanteans. Whatever.
At least Creed is good.
Creed is good. And I'm looking forward to this movie that he's got with Michael B. Jordan, his muse about vampires.
You talking about Blade?
No, we're never.
That's what it is. What do you mean? Yes, Blade. It's Blade.
Okay, are you being facetious here? Because
it's not. It's Blade.
It's Blade.
It's the only Blade you're getting.
It might as well be.
Blade. It's the reason why. Look, Ryan Coogler saw that script just sitting somewhere. He took that script, ran off, and now we're getting this. That's what's happening.
Underwater Mexicans. No, I mean Atlanteans. Shout out to Dr. Umar. Atlanteans are here. We're interested in what's happening in the next issue. I'm sure he'll bust a whole bunch of their asses. See him fighting underwater. It's not something we see often. I can't recall him ever fighting underwater. So maybe we got to see some of that. Something
in the
new.
animated series, he did, but not anything in the books that I can recall.
I don't even think we're gonna get a Black Panther versus Atlantean fight. This is gonna be a diplomatic solution right here.
Yeah, they're probably just gonna talk it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. I'm sure Dr. Umar would have approved of that unity and all that. I'm chill. Blue, ATLblerd, peace and Pan-Africanism.
Yeah.
Out.